Hi, everybody. Welcome to YouTube. Welcome to this live stream video. In a couple moments, you're going to see the link pop up in the YouTube chat box. Use the link to join the Zoom. And one more thing I'm going to do.
Dante, do you want one of us to co-host for you?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So welcome. Thanks for being here, everybody. And most of you know, I'm Dante. I channel the Pleiadian Council. They are an intergalactic consciousness supporting us in this ascension process. I'm not sure why my video isn't working, but thank you. Yeah, you don't need to be on video to be in the Zoom. Sometimes when people ask questions, they turn the video on, and a lot of people don't turn the video on. It's all about what you're comfortable with. This is live on YouTube. Usually gets like 100, 200 views. Let's up that if you want to support. But anyway, so yeah, you are appearing publicly when you show up here. And yeah, so just note that you can be on the video or you can be not on the video. Anyway, so this is the live stream channeling session, and the Pleiadian Council will share an opening transmission. This is about the year 2023, the energies to come this year. And then there will be the question and answer portion, and you can ask your questions aloud. Hopefully we will make the space for everybody to ask a question. So in the first round, take no more than 5 minutes. And if that brings us to the end of the 90 minutes we have together, then that's all there is. And if there's more space, you can ask a second question. You can also type your question out and somebody will read the question aloud. And it's better when you ask the question aloud yourself, because that allows for a more deep interaction. And sometimes not all of the information that's relevant to give you the best answer is there in the question. So the Pleiadian Council might ask you some questions, and it also opens the space for them to ask you the deeper questions within yourself that are going to bring you the real answers, because we all have a higher self and we all have guides. And when we do channeling with Pleiadian Council or my own higher self, this energy is coming to bring you to get in touch with your own inner connection. And hopefully the answers can support you in seeking within yourself and letting that inner wisdom come to light. I thank you so much for being here. These sessions are done freely on donation. So I will also post a link right before we begin where you can send any donations that you feel are appropriate for this session. It's a really big support in offering this for free, and also the work that goes into continuing to promote this and offer a lot of the other videos and content that pops up. It's a bit of work every day, and I love doing it, and also can't do it without support. So I thank you for sharing that. And in terms of other things that you might want to experience, I offer one-to-one channeling sessions, personal sessions. I also do astrology readings, and for a limited time, trying to see what happens if I do all of this on donation. And the market value of people working at this level is around $220. But I'm just opening up to whatever people want to contribute. It can be much less than that. It can be that. It can be whatever you want it to be. And I'm curious how that works, because we live in a world that is unfair and not everyone has the same access. And it's great to let people pay what is right for them. So if you want to book a session, now's the time that I'm offering that for channeling and astrology readings and anything. I offer a channeling course that teaches you how to channel and how to go through an ongoing process of self-transformation. It's a channeling and intuitive healing course. So you're not only learning to channel, you're learning how to apply certain skills that take you into different states of consciousness and guiding other people into different states of consciousness to access their belief systems, their archetypal self, and many different experiences that can transform how they see themselves and how they interact in the world. So when we change ourselves, we change our reality, as within, so without, as above, so below. And we go through that in a deep way in the course. It's really a personal transformation course and a channeling course. I highly recommend it. We're enrolling for whenever it begins, estimated time February, March, or April. And I want to get maybe like 4 people minimum to launch it, but at this point I've been running it with whoever signs up. So if you're interested, send me a message, and on the website dantestarshine.com there's a lot of information there. Supporting these sessions is also available easily by sharing it on your social media feed, but most importantly with the people that you know are open to this information, because we probably know that we're doing something that's leading edge in a world where a lot of people are just following the trends, following the herd, following the pack. And so we have to be those pack leaders to create a different way of consciousness. So if you know people who are on this wavelength, send them about the channeling and let them know that this is possible. And there's the channeling course also becomes an ongoing community where sometimes former students are invited to the present classes, and there is that sense of community that grows when you take a step and join in. Anyway, so just to note that these sessions used to happen every week, and now I'm working with it about every month, because there wasn't really that level of support that kept me really supported to do this each week. It does take a lot of energy. I love to channel, but also I often end up feeling tired at the end of the sessions, and I was doing them in late at night when I was already kind of winding down, and now I'm just doing it on my terms early in the morning for me, where I happen to be in Thailand now, and just seeing how it goes. So yeah, thank you for those who do support. It ended up being a small fraction of those who actually participate, so I really see and honor those who do make this a continued experience. And thanks to everyone for chipping in the ways they can. And I hope to see you in the course or in other sessions. And now that I'm done saying all of those things, we're going to dive into the channeling session. I just want to do one little posting of something in the chat. Victoria writes, "It's the best course." Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, it was a really great group last time. And every time, really.
Yes, and your book.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Yeah, there is a book called The Guidebook to Living Love on Earth. And it's a huge book. It's like almost 400 pages long. It's like a textbook. So it's you get a lot for what you pay for it. And it's something that you can refer to again and again. I even say to some people, it's like, it can be like an oracle book. When you open up to a random page with a question, you get a lot of information just from that. And it really uncovers all areas of life and even more. What am I even saying? It's a game changer, and it kind of brings together all of the information that's come together through channeling the Pleiadian Council for what, six or 7 years now. And you can get it on Amazon. It's available for Kindle and in print. And I posted in the YouTube chat and the chat here the link tree that sends you to all of the different places that I've mentioned, the website, the donations on the contact tab. Book a session is on the link tree. You can do it with Calendly and just pick a time that's open, and the book is there too. Okay. When you are not speaking during the transmission, please keep yourself muted. And I think that's everything I have to say. So thank you. Oh, the actual last thing is that there is a private or closed container transmission tomorrow, same time. So whatever time it is for you now, it's that time. No one signed up yet, but if we get 2 or 3 people, we'll go with it. It's $22. It allows you to ask questions that aren't being broadcast to all of the viewers on YouTube to go a little bit deeper. So those are always special containers. And if you want to sign up, send me an email, donation of $22, and you'll get the link. And if it doesn't happen because not enough people sign up, you'll be refunded, or however you want to work with that. So we'll begin now. Hello, and we say good day to you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we speak on behalf of the Galactic Alliance supporting your world in this process. Many of you call Ascension. It is a gift, an honor, a pleasure, a blessing to be able to connect with those of you in your world, for it opens up a bridge between our respective realities, allowing both you and ourselves to grow in deeper connection to Source and all that is. For this, we are very grateful, and we extend our unconditional love and our gratitude to you, and our reminder that every being in this multiverse is here with you, here and now, because all is one, the one is in all, and everything is here and now. You are beings of vibration that live in this physical reality that experiences an illusion of linear time, though in actuality, you exist in other levels of reality. And so all of your other lifetimes that you call the past or present and future, and parallel realities, and all of the other dimensions and galactic realities are accessible for you now. So we invite you during this and all transmissions to remember that this energy also comes from your own higher self, and your own guides become present when you tune in and listen in a deep way from the heart. We invite you to tap into that energy, knowing that there's more beyond the words. This subtle vibration of energy can allow for these other beings to communicate with you and remind you of those deep levels of oneness. All right. So today we are speaking about this next upcoming year of 2023. There is some announcement taking place. We hope you don't hear too much of that anyway. 2023, we are calling this year the year of taking initiative. And we'll speak more about that in the ways that you can show up in your own personal life and reality. Though first, we will share a bit about what might be taking place on the collective level. Now, this is a year of continued disclosure of hidden secrets of extraterrestrial life and much more. You have seen this increasing over the past years, where bits of information in the news about sightings and things of this nature that were not ever shared before in that public way are now becoming more commonplace. You are in this trajectory of experiencing full disclosure, meaning a full acknowledgement on behalf of your governments of their knowledge of extraterrestrial life between the years of 2027 and 2030. You are participating in this. This is not just a thing that is happening. It depends on your own personal level of vibration and how willing you are to immerse yourself in this energy and in this information. So when you hear about these stories and you share them with others and keep that conversation alive, you yourself are contributing to the acceleration of open contact and the probability and the likelihood of these things taking place sooner than later. Because remember, this is about timelines that are constantly shifting. And as you change your vibration and the planet changes its vibration, you draw this closer into the future, or push it rather further into the future, or draw it closer toward the present. Though still, yes, a future. Now, there will also be many changes taking place. You will see that the challenge that has happened at an economic level in much of your world rebounds halfway through this year. It will not be the same in all countries, though in general, the world economy will find itself rebalancing out. This will in turn have to do with peace initiatives taking place in some of the conflicts that are presently affecting everything in your world. The underdog, Ukraine, in this current conflict will gradually start to overcome Russia and find themselves seeking greater freedom. There will be some resolutions towards peace and an eventual reconciliation. You will see a big shift in the situation taking place in April. There will be continued movement of liberation of women and the divine feminine in this year. This is a big theme on your planet. It is an ongoing theme, and you've witnessed a big demonstration of the oppression take place in the past months. And global attention has in many ways been diverted away from what is taking place. And what we encourage you to do is move your focus towards, not away from, some of these situations, because the more attention goes on these things that are grossly cruel, unfair, and oppressive, the more your world will start to balance out and recognize that some of these ancient ways of oppression of the feminine are still alive and still intact. You yourselves participate in this by the ways that you liberate your own creative energy and liberate your heart, allowing yourself to be more spontaneous and honor your feelings rather than working solely on this mental level. This is what we mean when we say to you, act on your highest passion to the best of your ability with no insistence on an outcome. Recognize that this formula is so efficient, yes, and it is something that works for all beings in all dimensions, though it is something that goes directly against what so many of you learn as your conditioning. Your conditioning is to live from that mental level alone and let your mind tell you what to do. Follow the orders, follow the ideas that you hear around you, and do what seems to be the most efficient and calculated. So when you instead listen to your heart and listen to what feels best for you, what feels aligned for you, what lifts you up into the vibration of joy, you are activating your intuition. And know that this is a direct embodiment of the liberation of the feminine, because the heart represents the feminine energy within you. And at the same time, there will need to be many different sorts of demonstrations and many different expressions of ways that people draw attention to these levels of inequality that are still very present. And this is something that we'll talk about as we share this idea of the year of taking initiative as well. Now, you will also see at this time many adjustments in power taking place. Your world has been allowing for certain individuals to amass and accumulate huge amounts of wealth that disrupts the flow of wealth from spreading and circulating. And these individuals do not contribute to the betterment of society. They contribute to their own ideas of what that means. They are not always ill-intended, but they do not consider everyone their decisions impact. And as your world has drawn attention to this reality, you've noticed a shift in how some of these individuals are able to hold on to this power. So we want you to recognize that where attention goes, energy flows. And when you bring awareness to what is imbalanced, that triggers the collective to make many shifts and changes that allow for these power imbalances to work themselves out. And so some of you think that when you focus on some of these things that are unfair and unjust and negative in your world, that you are inviting more negative energy in. And this couldn't be further from the truth. When you bring your awareness to these imbalances, you then allow for the energy to come back into balance. The same thing happens in your body. If you deny that there is tension, that there is pain, that there is dis-ease in some part of your body, what you deny will grow. When you allow yourself to bring awareness into that pain and that issue, the holistic system that is your body will allow for the energy that might be suppressed or blocked to start to flow into that area and bring about an integration. And the same thing is true in the collective. You are one massive organism. And when your personal attention goes into one area, know that you are inviting other members of this massive organism that you are to draw their attention into that area as well. As enough individuals draw their attention into certain areas of what's taking place in your world, then that allows for adjustments to take place. And of course, this requires your physical actions as well. You have to do something about it. Though, if all you feel passionate about doing is sharing this information that brings awareness to what is out of balance in your world, know that you are still doing something. Some of you have become disillusioned to this idea of bringing awareness in, but you cannot simply focus on your own reality alone, because you are beings that experience massive co-creation. All of your reality is a co-creation based upon the relations between your family and your friends and your extended community and your soul groups and so on and so forth. So open to extend this idea of understanding that you are part of a bigger field of reality, and all of these other beings are extensions of yourself, and you are extensions of them. Understanding this law of oneness, that you're not separate, and you are one, and you are interconnected, will support your planet in bringing about more of these shifts. You've experienced in these past years an upsurgence of fear. And this fear is not something new. Many of you have been lamenting that your world has gone through such a negative path. And we would say that your world is adjusting because your world is accelerating its frequency so much through these big upgrades and new technologies, new understandings, and higher frequency energies that you are all tapping into. This is causing what is unconscious to come to the surface. And so the fear of loss of control has manifested as many of the sorts of scares around health that have been taking place in your world. And certainly, some people are still tapped into that level of reality. Now, we want you to become aware of this paradoxical nature of the way that your world is splitting levels of consciousness, whereas some individuals are choosing to move more into fear and other individuals are choosing to move into higher frequencies of love. Recognize that when you create a separation between these two different groups of people, you are actually contributing to division and not allowing that balance to take place. So we invite you to see those who are still choosing to move in the direction of fear and separation as parts of yourself. And when you see these individuals, use them as mirrors to look at, how am I still contributing to division? How am I still contributing to separation by judging this being as different than me, or that being as different than me, or this way as different than my way? The best thing that you can do is recognize the core level of well-meaning intention that all beings have. And by recognizing this good intention, you will be able to create deeper levels of unity and transcend some of the ways that your consciousness has been dividing you into this and that group. By not saying to these individuals that they are other, you will strip them of their power to also say that you are other. Recognize the moment that you say, this being is other than me, that being will say the exact same thing. Whereas if you say to another being, you are the same as me, then that implants that idea in their consciousness, and they start to see and think the same thing. When you start to see and recognize your sameness, that you are having the core same intentions and same desires and same inner connection to your source, that will dissolve so many of these illusory barriers between people that you may contribute to when you think that others are so different from you. And at the same time, yes, there are those with power that are perpetuating the fear with the ideas they put out, the laws they put out, and how they choose to educate the children. And these things are becoming increasingly important for you to bring awareness to as well. So many of you are choosing these paths of homeschool, and this is something that we would encourage everyone to make their own decisions upon. Not everyone has that capability. Not everyone has the freedom in their life to do that. And if you have that blessing, then enjoy it and allow for you to be a channel for the young ones to bring in as much different sorts of information as possible. Recognize that education is not just what you teach and read in books. Education happens through culture, through music, through storytelling. And now in your world, there are so many sorts of violent sources of input in your media, even those movies and films that are deemed as bringing about a message of higher consciousness still include great levels of violence. And you could say that this is something that is part of your ancient past that is being worked out in the present. Though we invite you to bring awareness to this and recognize that this isn't normal in terms of a galactic civilization, and your world is becoming a galactic civilization. Of course, there are many different civilizations out there in this galaxy that still participate in violence, but when we say a galactic civilization, we mean one that is able to join this peaceful galactic alliance where there is no war and there is complete demilitarization. This is a sort of requirement to join the Galactic Alliance and understand that we have different sorts of technologies of protection that don't require the traditional sorts of weaponry that you think are necessary in order to protect yourself from others. So allow yourself to see that this violence is the outgrowth of this separation consciousness. Whenever you say, this person is fundamentally different than me, that is an act of violence, because anything that creates a veil between your perception of oneness is a violent act. And this awareness is going to expand with you in time. And it is a great part of what we say when we say this is the year of taking initiative. So taking initiative means to no longer sit back and observe what's taking place, but when you see something, Allow yourself to be inspired, to take action. You've gone through so many different changes and so many different things that have tossed and turned you through different realities, different groups of friends, different places in the world, different ideas. And now you begin this new year of 2023 after so much has changed in your world in the past years. You've gained the information now to, in your own life, take initiative. And this means to put yourself out there and share the gifts that you have, recognizing that all of you have gifts. Your gifts are sharing your truth and what comes naturally to you. Your gifts are not something that are outside of what is naturally within you already. So we want you to dissolve this idea that some of you are less gifted than others, because you are all fundamentally gifted. Your gifts are imprinted within you, and they can be developed by your actions in the world, but they are in no way ever outside of you. So tap into that wellspring of passion within you and let that guide you into your gifts. Taking initiative means when you see any of these acts of inequality taking place, that you restore that awareness of oneness and you allow that oneness to inspire you to act in ways where you see that every other being you're interacting with is another source self, another version of you that is mirroring to you oneness. When you act from that perception, you realize that everyone you interact with is yourself. And ideally, when you realize that, you will want to treat everybody so kindly and compassionately. Recognize that any degree of negativity is fundamentally negativity towards yourself. And with this awareness, you can start to restore a sense of deep love and admiration for yourself, dissolving any negative beliefs about who you are. Recognize that when you do this, you are changing the world. And this is why we've spoken to you so much about changing your negative beliefs and developing a healthy sense of love and admiration for yourself, because this is a fundamental key into restoring balance and unity in your world. Take initiative means sharing ideas. It means when something matters to you, recognize that it matters. Many of you start to think that because the people around you don't share the same interests as you, or they don't think that what you feel matters, that it actually doesn't matter. But the more you say, this matters, this matters, this matters, the louder your voice becomes, the more your voice echoes and starts to attract people who share this idea. And it also starts to leave an impression on people who aren't awake to that understanding yet. And the more they start to understand, yes, this does in fact matter. And once somebody realizes the truth, it takes so much more energy to erase the memory and to forget. You have to use so much energy in order to forget. And that is why those of you who have repressed memories find that you are more lethargic and more slow moving. You'll find that when you awaken some of these stored memories of trauma that happened, that it creates a sort of instability in your energy for some time. Yet despite that, you are more alert, you're more alive, you have more energy to participate in reality. So we want you to remember that remembrance is key into taking initiative, because everything that you have forgotten is a key part of how you will move forward. The past, present, and future are one. And by having a complete picture perspective on the past, you will also have a complete picture perspective on the future. Many of you look at things in the past and think that your world moved so far away from some of these levels of unfairness and cruelty that you see, for example, in events like World War II. That we want you to understand that the same energy dynamic is alive in a different way now. And when you can recognize that, you will wake up to what you can do to change it. But when you stay in denial, you keep yourselves in a deadlock standstill where awareness cannot expand and change cannot happen. Most importantly, we want you to recognize that becoming aware of something changes it. And there can be an existential tremor that happens when you start to see so much of the unfairness in your world. Though fundamentally recognize becoming aware of something changes what you become aware of. So do not fear becoming aware of more of what is still hidden. Do not fear seeing more of what is negative and unfair. Recognize that becoming aware of it is a necessary prerequisite for changing it. And as you expand your awareness of everything taking place, you will also expand your awareness of all of the good within you that can potentially be an act of transformation to bring darkness to light, to bring negativity to break its hold and transform into positivity. And the fundamental way of doing this is changing beliefs and changing perspectives and recognizing oneness in all. So we thank you for receiving this message, for taking this energy in, for applying this understanding in your lives and allowing it to be an active way of changing yourselves and therefore changing the world. And we would now wish to support you deeper with any questions, insights, comments, sharings, and musings you have, beginning whenever you wish, if you'd like.
Hello, Pleiadian Council.
Hello, welcome, yes.
Can you speak more about the changes in world financial system, markets, and so on?
Well, it has to do directly to this war situation. And as there are greater strides in the direction of peace, it will also ripple out into opening up the world economy in many ways. There are also new sectors of energy that are opening and developing. So tune yourself into those as well.
Mm-hmm. And what about inflation? How it will evolve?
It will start to slow down, but it will never completely come to a standstill. It's a perpetual process that's directly related to the consumer society that you live in. Inflation won't go away until the way that you do things changes. So understand that in times of economic crisis, inflation accelerates, and then it decelerates when you find stability, but it will never completely stop. And it will never reverse.
Mm-hmm. Previously have talked about collapse of currencies. Is this prediction still in place?
In many parts of the world, it has happened. You've seen those changes taking place over the past year. So you might experience more of that over the first half of this year, and then following June, stability will gradually increase.
Mm-hmm. And can you describe why this prediction is changing?
It is not changing.
So it is evolving, or because?
Yes, it is evolving. As we've said, the currency situation has changed. Your euro has changed substantially. Many currencies have totally collapsed. And now there will be something like a movement in that direction, but it will eventually stabilize itself.
Mm-hmm.
There are also subtle changes taking place that are impacting the situation of this war. And of course, this is the probability as we read today. There still could be other factors that are unseen to you, but could influence the situation to move in the other direction. We don't see it now as likely.
Mm-hmm. And are these changes hidden? Most of the changes are hidden. They will surface later on.
Yes, remember your world is interconnected with other realities and parallel timelines. So you're always shifting through these different timelines, and there's subtle influences constantly taking place from other worlds. Your collective vibration is always adjusting.
And how do I personally, or every one of us personally, influence these words or these changes?
What we've said in the opening of taking action, described now as taking initiative, is the biggest step to changing the vibration, recognizing that by being aware of something, you change your vibration around it. Fear is the lowest vibration that you can tap into. And fear is at the core of why you hide yourself from any information about yourself and about your collective reality. So by stepping out of hiding and becoming aware of the truth, you change your vibration more than anything else.
So it means taking law-based actions, right?
Yes, and remember, it means opening your eyes to see and looking all around. Remember, your third eye does not see just in front of you. Your third eye sees in 360 degrees. It has no blind spot, but if you have a blind spot, it is there because you are choosing to have that blind spot. Why you are choosing to have that blind spot is based in fear. Love is how you will remove the blind spot. Love will remove the veil so that you can see the truth.
So I believe it starts with loving our fears, right?
Yes. It is more loving in spite of your fears. Love, when directed towards your fears, is a destructive act. This is the destructive form of love. You see it symbolized in Eastern mythologies as Kali, goddess of death. And you bring this sort of an energy to your fears when you embrace them. You don't embrace your fears so as to hold on to them. You embrace them so as to destroy them. And some individuals distort this in their mind in subtle ways, and they use those same words to cling on to their fears.
And one more question about the economy. Will world go to a recession economically?
You're already in one.
Okay.
And again, it will get worse before it gets better, but it will get better this year.
And how deep this recession will be?
It will affect different parts of the world in different ways.
Okay, and what about weather patterns around the world? How they would change?
There may be some more eruptions this year, volcanic activity, particularly in the Pacific Rim. Tsunami activity could affect parts of Asia. There will be general irregularity through the summer months in North America, experiencing different levels of extremes.
And something about health that we may be taking care of, or that may be worth
when you take initiative and love, you take care of your health. When you love yourself, you take care of your health. And part of this is, of course, your daily routines, making sure you're mindful of what you eat, making sure that you exercise every day, making sure you get adequate sunlight according to the season, making sure that you breathe deeply, making sure that you experience some degree of human touch and connection, making sure that you walk and stretch a bit every day, making sure that you don't stare at the screen for exceedingly long periods of time, and so on and so forth. This all plays a big role in your health.
And can you say how the world frequency will evolve?
We've said so much about that. In what ways specifically do you mean?
I wanted to hear some numbers.
Your average world frequency is now around 80,000 cycles per second. You can anticipate a shift to move up to an average of 90,000 cycles per second if things progress in the most supportive ways this year.
Okay, nice. And my last question is, I heard that also Pleiadians might be involved in first contact.
Yes, we are.
How this may be happening?
Many of the ships that are being sighted around your world now are our ships.
Okay, cool. And how we can help this contact?
Remain excited about it. Actively engage in your telepathic communication with your ET guides and your meditations. Pay attention to moments where you feel inspired to sit beneath the stars, inside or outside. If you have a clear view from the windows inside, you are still looking at the night sky, that still counts. Ideally, you are in a place with not too much light pollution, but recognize that even in a city, we can meet you. So the most important thing is that you look towards the night sky with an open mind and open heart, and know that we hear your thoughts and feel your frequency. So when you send us your intentions and your desires, we receive them, and they impact how we might show up for you. So engage with us. If you want us to come, engage with us. We are here. We are not somewhere else. We are not just connected to the channel. We are connected to each and every one of you.
And
that's what we mean when we say we are here.
Okay, so can you suggest any meditation or affirmations that may help this?
Visualize a connection from your heart that travels up into your atmosphere to a ship of some kind. The ship can be saucer-like, as you might traditionally see it. It can be triangular. It can be even very different from this. Allow your own imagination to conjure this energy and visualize transmissions of energy, like signals moving through wires from your heart to the ship, moving with your breath. On an inhalation, you pull in a frequency from the ship. On an exhalation, you send out a frequency of your own thoughts to the ship. Play in this way and notice what happens.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Our thanks to you as well.
Greetings, Pleiadian Council.
Hello, welcome.
I was wondering, besides planting a massive amount of trees globally, what other physical or spiritual actions do you recommend for solving our most high priority ecological challenges?
Expanding awareness. So you know what's happening. Continue to talk about it. Many of you fear this conversation and fear bringing awareness to this because you feel that there is nothing you can do, but there is still many things you can do. Be aware of things like the idea of a personal carbon footprint, because this is something that is intended to shut your eyes. And you think it's something very different, but you've been told to pay attention to your personal carbon footprint. Who made this idea up? BP Oil. Do you recognize who is telling you so much of the information that relates to how you are supposed to interact with your world? It's coming from those who are making the biggest decisions to pollute and to destroy and to exploit. And by placing the responsibility on you, you forget your bigger responsibility. Recognize as the bottom of the pyramid, as the masses of the world, you support the upper pyramid. And when you say their responsibility is your responsibility, you distort your perception of what's taking place. So there needs to be a greater spirit of insurgence and rebellion within the masses. It has not been awakened yet. You are acting like sheep when you need to tap into the spirit of the wolf within you. What are wolves? But they are pack-like, and they are also very intelligent. They're much more intelligent than sheep are, most certainly. Many of you fear this archetype, but it is one that serves your awakening and it serves your growth. Wolves operate from a familial basis of trust and understanding, and they think together. They don't listen to a master, but they assert themselves, and you need to do this on individual levels. You need to make yourselves aware of the imbalances of power and not just put all of the responsibility on yourself, but use your sense of responsibility to raise your voice and make everyone aware of who is actually calling the shots that are bringing about bigger destruction. Instead, so many of you get caught in the admiration of these individuals that seem as if they are doing so great when you tell yourselves the stories of the American dream and so on and so forth, when really those who climb to the top only do so because of inherited wealth that brings them into these positions that allow them to make these destructive choices. So your best bet isn't to think about all of these small things that you do, but is to actually raise your voice so that more people start to rebel against those destructive forces.
Yeah, thank you. What you said now about BP and responsibility was exactly what I've researched and determined about 2 months ago. So yeah, it's right in time. Good confirmation. Yes. Thank you. And I was wondering about some, let's say, physical actions. For example, planting a massive amount of trees is one action that was recommended by yes, Assanis, for example. And we also have, might have, for example, algae farms or any other things like that that you might recommend as practical actions besides the collective consciousness actions that
raise funds and raise awareness to buy land to stop the cutting of trees. There's millions of acres in South America, in Africa, in Asia, and many other places that are being clear-cutted, that are subject to slash and burn farming. And just as important as planting new trees is saving the trees that are already there. In fact, we would say it's more important because there's levels of biodiversity that could be erased. So raise that awareness, buy the land, and encourage those who have the power to do so, to do so. Support information related to these ideas.
Great idea. Thank you. And any ecological emergency besides CO2 that we could ideally be focusing upon right now?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, there's also the plastics in your ocean. Yes, this is quite important as well. So what if you saved all of your plastic? What if you played with this idea that there's another use for your plastic? If you keep the plastic around, you would find eventually creative ways of using it. The channel keeps every plastic bag he receives and finds a use for it eventually. So we want you to do this as well. And we want you to recognize that waste has a use. It's only waste by definition. It's not waste at a fundamental level.
Of course. Thank you. And is there a perspective of a pole shifting soon?
No.
No? Okay. And any prediction of the water level rise is possible? The number of meters, how soon, how fast?
This will be of concern to you in your mid-2030s.
And it's still about 15 meters as Bashar has predicted, the same level?
Eventually.
pretty challenging. Yes.
So it's also an opportunity. So we want to, yes, allow you to recognize the challenge, but also recognize the opportunity that unfortunately, so many of you in your world don't make changes until you realize that you absolutely must have to. So if this change is impending, that means that the powers that be will have to change.
Of course, yeah.
So open
yes.
yourself to the positive and think of the mystery of how is our world going to have to adapt to this situation?
And
Power thanks to you.
anything Atlantis related worthy of a discovery quest on the Azores Islands or in the Canary Islands that you would recommend?
If you go there, you can tap into those energies. You can also tap into some of those energies in what you know as the Caribbean. Now, recognize that there is an insurgence of Atlantean memories as technologies evolve. The technologies that you possess can be used for good and they can be used for bad. They are ultimately a sign of progress, but it depends how you use them. So as your world shifts to being of a greater technological nature, you will see that more of these memories from Atlantis come to light.
Of course. And my last question will be, if you are able to detect my own energetical blueprint, is there something that you would recommend as a calibration, or do you see any imbalance, and do you recognize any calibration?
Do you practice physical inversions?
Meaning headstands?
Yes, or any kind. It doesn't have to be headstand, it can be shoulder stand, can be an inversion table.
I'm intent on it. Let's see.
This is important. Your insight into doing this and your intent is a key sign in your progress. This will help regulate your nervous system, and it will help you to circulate subtle energies through your system as well. So we encourage you to start as soon as you can.
Oh, thank you. And
recognize that it can be as simple as putting your feet up the wall. Start small and know that it'll gradually grow.
Yeah, I felt that many times that's needed.
So
and
why haven't you listened? Let this be a symbol. Let this be a symbol that we are pointing you to something that you've been thinking about, that all of the other things that you are thinking about and not acting on are just as important. Your heart is tuned in, so listen.
Yes, I think I have in the back of my mind the belief that I can calibrate my energetic blueprint and I can heal everything by imaginative actions and breath and stretching.
You can, but it's 10 times harder.
Do you think it's
yes.
harder? Yeah.
Yes.
I see. Or it takes more time, maybe. Yeah, than harder.
You're physical beings. So if you focus enough, you can change your frequency the same way you would through taking a physical action, but you have to be so immersed in that imagination that you drift away from physical reality to some extent. It takes a lot of focus. It takes discipline of years and years of meditation. Some of you have these natural abilities that come to you from other lifetimes, but most of you do not. So many of you start to think of being more non-physical before you actually become fully physical. Remember that transcendence is not a going away from, it is a moving above. And in order to move above, you have to have a solid foundation. So the more that you focus yourself in the changes that you can make in physical reality into your physical body, the more you will be able to work with these higher subtle levels of reality. But until you face the fact and embrace the fact that you are physical beings, you will not be able to go beyond physical into non-physical.
Of course, and it's probably the path of least effort, the path of least resistance.
It is.
Yes.
All right, our thanks to you.
Yes, thank you. Any other?
No, our thanks to you. We will continue with our other questions for now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Lucas had 2 questions. Lucas, go in.
Oh, hi, Pleiadians. I'm honored to talk to you both.
Welcome.
My mom's kind of sleeping upstairs, I think. So.
All right.
Well, I was going to ask that just happened a few hours ago. How is the daughter of Elvis Presley doing? I know she passed away today, and it was a big story everywhere online and on TV. So, is she with you all right now, like on the other side in the astral plane?
She's on the other side. She's not specifically with
Yeah.
us. There's also locations to the astral plane, but our soul's in transition, moving towards a unification with source. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And one other question, because I'm really trying to help out on the planet as we move into the year 7 this year for numerology.
Yes.
As we move deeper into this year, and I guess the new Earth, whatever you want to call it, will this matrix soon, I guess you could say, collapse as we move into it this year or the year after?
What matrix are you speaking about?
I guess like all the craziness, like everyone thinks that's happening, like the stock market crashing and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, as we've said, there will be a continued recession that will then lead to a rebalancing. So you will see some changes. Many of you are waiting for this idea of an imminent collapse. And this is based on the belief in the inherent negativity in all that is taking place. And this is taking some of these ideas that we have shared about opening your mind to what's happening a little bit too far. You need to have a balanced understanding as well, and understand that within all that is bad, there is also good, and within all that is good, there is also bad. Use that symbol of the yin yang to have a complete perspective. And if you find yourself getting so focused on the details of what is negative, ask yourself what the hidden positives are. Ask yourself, what are the good intentions that have put some of these systems there in the first place? And this will help you to have a greater sense of compassion and also dissolve those senses of separation so that you can unify with the whole and not further separate from it. So we don't want you to think that there needs to be a total collapse in order for there to be a rebirth. The collapse and transformation is already taking place. It's already underway. So stop waiting and start opening your eyes to seeing what is already transforming, because it is already happening. You're seeing it in the ways that economies are already changing. You're seeing it in the ways that there is already a greater sense of distrust. You're seeing it in the ways that people are already choosing to be more sovereign and to be more connected to their communities and to the land. So
Right.
Open yourselves to that and be a part of the awakening, not a part of the fear.
All right, thank you.
Yes, our great thanks to you as well.
Hello, Pleiadian Council and Dante.
Hello, welcome, yes.
Hello. Hello. I just wanted to thank you for your words of encouragement regarding taking action and being a force of good in this world. And because sometimes I feel that I want to shrug my shoulders and say, what can I do? But there are others where I see myself walking into, for example, the Social Security Administration, or the SSDI, because I have a friend who is on food stamps and SSDI, and he's giving me a much clearer view of the haves and have-nots. And I have been both. And for example, I want to help with this one notion that people that are on food stamps, if they're homeless, are now able to get hot food from the deli.
Yes.
Yes. And to me, this is, and I'm a person who has been serving food for a very long time and dealing with food, and food is important to me. And this is important to me, but to be encouraged that me having this concern and potentially doing something about it actually makes a difference is very much appreciated. So I thank you for
Certainly.
that.
Yes. Everything you do to expand your awareness and to be an active participant in change by using your voice is a massive shift for your world. And we want you to know that you're in one of the places that would be the most probable starting ground for this shift in allowing that food stamp system to change. So we want you to look at information related to the impact of warm food versus cold food, because there is both traditional and modern information suggesting how much healthier and how much more supportive it is. And certainly in the winter months, it is necessary to create that sense of warmth within the body that is often so difficult for those without homes to have access to. So by gathering this information and presenting it to those who have influence and those in these organizations, you might create a ripple effect from where you're standing today.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I love you all so much.
Oh, we love you as well.
Blessings. And I will be in touch.
All right,
Talk
our
to you later.
blessings to you too. Yes.
Hello, Pleiadian Council. Hello, Dante.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy. I want to express my deep gratitude to you for talking about the 2 Earth timelines. I had a moment, several moments, and I was wanting, it was a big confirmation for me. It's come up with different channelers talking about 2 timelines for the Earth, or 2 different Earths. And every time I see it, all I can think is that's so 2012, and that doesn't exist anymore after we made the choice to move to Ascension. So thank you for filling in the pieces of that puzzle for me. I appreciate that.
Oh, yes. Thanks to you too.
I was wondering, lately, it's been very synchronistic for me, and the baobab tree and the macaw came into my kind of sphere of influence of things for me to pay attention to over the weekend. And I think it's related to, it's very sacred tree, of course, but it's called the upside down tree. But I think it has to do with me reconnecting how I ground, and almost like grounding into my higher consciousness instead of the earth somehow. Can you explain more about that? Or is it, it's like a pole? Yeah, I feel like it's like a pole flip, but within me, where I source more from my cosmic consciousness than, I guess, this earthly consciousness. Does that make sense?
So there are myths and stories about tree of life, a tree with its roots in the sky and its branches in the earth. And we recognize that we and other channels share meditations that ground you to the earth and connect you to the cosmos. And this is supporting your physical body and physical mind in adjusting to these higher frequency energies. Though open yourself to understand that your soul grounds in reverse, because your soul does not come from your earth, your body does. Your soul has its roots in source. And source is everywhere at once. And you experience it as being above and beyond, because there are so many other parts of you above and beyond in higher dimensions that share that same source, though it is actually everywhere. So when you visualize these strands of light from your heart going to the galactic center, also play with this understanding that they are the same roots that grow down, that as above, so below literally means that the roots that ground you to the earth are the same roots that connect you to the cosmos. So play with this idea of the roots, again, being like similar to your cardiovascular system, like they are arteries, and they allow for energy like your cosmic blood to flow in and out of your heart center. So these roots are pumping energy from your source self into physical reality and pumping your information back to your source self and to all of the different incarnations that you connect with.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
Lovely. I think that's all I had.
All right. So you can also work with trees to ground yourself and recognize that the birds that move from the trees are transmitting codes with the songs they sing. They are attuning you to different frequencies of energy and allowing you to come into rhythm with nature. So play with the trees as you play with this visualization, and perhaps sit with your back against the tree and recognize as the tree grounds to the earth, your soul grounds to the galactic center, and visualize those roots traveling upward from your body and see branches growing down into the earth, bringing life force into the earth through your cosmic connection.
Okay. No, I will definitely. Thank you for the recommendation.
Yes, our great thanks to you as well.
I love you guys. Bye.
We love you as well.
Hello, Pleiadian Council.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much for this transmission. And thank you, Dante, for this session. Kind of coming off the heels of what Heather was talking about as far as trees and connecting with trees. I've, as you know, recently moved to Hawaii and have felt a very strong connection with the banyan trees. And
yes,
wanted to ask you, in relation to what you were just talking about in your opening conversation about awakening memories and remembrance being key to initiating change. And I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit more about that remembrance, and is that as humans here, or is that past lives and our other soul counterparts, and how might that relate to connecting with trees and nature here, as you just talked about explaining to Heather?
It's remembering what's relevant for you. And in general, it's remembering all of it. Though you will be able to unpack only so much at once because you have such a vast history, both within this present incarnation and within many other lifetimes. So pay attention to what your passion is directing you towards. The areas of life that you are directed to focus upon will be what is most important. So if you are finding that there are emotional patterns blocking the way that you relate and connect to other humans, this is most likely pointing to something that comes from this lifetime. If you are having a interest in understanding in more spiritual experiences or telepathic sorts of connections or gifts of this nature, it most likely comes from another lifetime. And this isn't always the case, but it's generally the case. You can work with hypnotic inductions and meditations to bring yourself into these memories and allow them to surface. Though recognize that you don't have to dig very deep, because these things are often not that buried. The only thing that buries them is fear. So when you create enough space and stillness to allow yourself to go within, you'll find that these things are very easy to dig up because they are coming to the surface. Your consciousness is perpetually pushing new information to the surface, and you can't remember all of it at once because you couldn't integrate all of it at once. So if you're finding that there's still blockages around some memories, then what we would encourage you to do is to integrate the memories that have already surfaced. Remember that you ought to have a neutral charge around every memory that you have. If there is any memory that when you think of it still creates a sort of inner trembling or resistance, or that it's something that perhaps you wouldn't feel comfortable sharing with another person if they asked you for advice and that came up as your relatable story, but then you would freeze, then there's work to do in integrating that experience. And you do that again by regressing into it, but by changing the memory, by calling in your guides, calling in your soul counterparts, and creating a different storyline in your mind that allows for a peaceful resolution, bringing yourself to understand all of the soul lessons that were inherent in that experience and integrate them so that you would respond to similar situations in very different ways.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful insight and so helpful in many unknown things that I'm experiencing right now. Because as a follow-up to that, is it also then the integration, is that kind of toggling between the more current and human pieces, as well as the older memories of other lifetimes? Is that integrating both, or does it just matter on, it just depends on what the particular instance or memory or feeling might be?
It, as you said, depends totally on the frequency.
Okay.
So
it's
there's almost always a situation playing out in another lifetime that relates to what's taking place in this lifetime, but it isn't always relevant. Sometimes some of you will look more to past lives as a way of avoiding what takes place in your present life because there's still too much resistance to something that might have happened in your childhood.
Okay.
Though we encourage you to recognize it's very much important to look at. And the channel birth, as he said, that is a symbol of the need to purge, the need to release. Remember that part of memory is to release the emotional charge. The memory was repressed because there was an emotional charge that you weren't able to process. And as a physical being, you release through crying, through shaking, through sounds. And your body needs to, in some way, create a sort of movement or vibration that allows the energy to express itself and move from your being. And when you recover memories, that's exactly what you're doing. You're allowing for energy that didn't have the ability to express itself in the time to transform and release from you. And this is true about experiences from other lifetimes as well. And that's the exact reason your planet is the way it is. Your planet is this karmic ground that allows for experiences from Lyra and Vega, from Sirius, from Orion, from the Pleiades, from Atlantis, from Lemuria, from civilizations that you have not yet remembered at all, to play out, because in those times and spaces, the energies could not release from those souls. And so the energies transport to other times and places within this greater universe to find the place to release. And so your soul mission is, in that sense, to allow these other parts of yourself to release what could not be released in its time and space. And the release then leads to creative expression.
So the unreleased energies and emotions from other soul counterparts then is also needing a portal, if you will, to express themselves as well. And that comes out as in human form, as creative energies in the 3D, as for me as a human.
Yes.
Okay. That's very, very helpful. I have more questions, but I'll wait till others can ask. Thank you so much.
We'll add to this that art is the channel that allows for multidimensional energies to reach the masses. And art allows for emotions and feelings to release and resolve through those who experience it. And these can also be feelings of joy. They are being released in a positive way. When you experience joy and laughter, you're still releasing something, even though it is a positive sort of release. It's still a transformation. And this is what allows for energies to travel and connect through your world. So know that as you release, you're unlocking creative energy that will help other people release in their own right.
Okay, may I ask a follow-up question to that? So as a designer and the projects that I'm beginning to embark upon in this community project here in the islands, it is that because it's not necessarily art per se, but it is a creative outlet for me, is that a way to, could that be a way to channel out the energies and to express energies, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It is.
Yes.
Because beyond what you're creating, you're also communicating in a way that brings the higher frequency energies you're tapping into your team. and into
Okay.
what you're creating.
I
So
see.
you're subtly changing the way that you do things, even through this design.
Okay. Slowly and in, yeah, depending on the cases and the people that we interface with.
Yes.
And one more question, may I ask, I've recently experienced medical Qigong as a way of helping me release some energies. Do you foresee that as a helpful way, modality for me in particular?
Most certainly. Though you know many tools of working with your body and working with your energy. So
Yeah.
go with the one that feels most exciting for you, while making sure that you don't forget, incorporating in your weekly practices bits of everything you've learned, so you actively go deeper into it, while listening to your body to flow with what feels best for you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Pleiadians. Much love, much
All right,
love.
thanks, and love to you as well.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Well, we're at an hour 21.
All right. Thank you for letting us know. Have any written questions been submitted?
None. So far, it was Lucas, and he already had time to pose it.
All right, yes.
I would like to have another question, if I may.
Has everyone who wished to ask a question been able to ask one?
Seems
Going
so.
once.
Victoria?
Going twice. All right, then continue with your question.
I'm just curious how ready world is for open contact now.
If you would be more completely ready, it would be happening. So you're experiencing just the levels that you're ready to experience by having certain levels of sighting. And yes, we will say that some people are having physical contact experiences taking place by seeing ETs come to their home, seeing them in their dreams, seeing them in planes in between physical and non-physical. So it's taking place on small scales, and it is growing and accelerating. So be in active engagement with open contact if you wish.
And in regard of splitting words, how many people will experience contact that are currently living on Earth?
Eventually, everyone.
Okay, cool.
Because remember,
Thank you.
complete open contact is an integration. It's an interstellar absorption where your world is admitted to the Galactic Alliance that will take place over the next 100 years. So gradually, yes.
I actually might have a question.
Yes.
I first have to thank you all for this amazing interaction and every contact that we've had.
Our thanks to you as well.
Great, thanks. It's sublime. Honestly, like just wow. I would like to ask, would you have any recommendations to help us connect more to Source's energy, both in the logical aspect, but also emotional aspect?
Source is unconditional love. So it starts at that emotional level of tapping into unconditional love. And the most important thing that you can do is meditation. And we have shared many different meditations with you. Connecting your heart to the galactic center and allowing that energy to flow through you is the greatest key. Though more important than that even is to recognize that this is a totally still energy. And when you focus your consciousness in a way that you allow yourself to be completely immersed in the energy in the very core of your being, in your heart of hearts, that source energy is there for you. This unconditional love is present within all things, and you don't need to create it. You simply need to remove what's in the way. So remember, when you are meditating, you are cultivating awareness, but you are not cultivating love. Your awareness is directed inward to the source of love, and your awareness pierces through the veils of belief and distraction that prevent that love from being totally immersive. And then as you do that, that love circulates through your being, and you become an emitter of that love. You become a being who transmits this energy simply through your being. It becomes so much immersed within you that this energy travels out beyond you and reaches all that you interact with. And this is how your world changes. Though in order for that to happen, you have to first completely immerse yourself in the love.
And to do so would be, one of the tips would be doing breath work in order that the mind doesn't necessarily get in the way, right?
Yes, this is a very helpful tool. Though when you do breath work, allow yourself to be still afterwards, because the breath work is the stilling practice. And when you then sit with the energy that is awakened within you, you're able to tap in. Of course, the breath work will also change how you breathe. It will change your mental makeup. It'll change your physiological makeup, though you will also need to focus your awareness nonetheless.
Okay, wow, great, thanks. And
Yes, our great thanks to you, yes.
this is quite amazing. I would also wonder, especially in regards to, as you've noticed, we have technology, auditory and visual devices for media, and eventually they've had effects on our subconscious. I was wondering if there was any tips to helping the species, in regards to basically removing the negative impacts, on the imagination that those devices had, the lassitude for life, this aspect of possible desensitization.
That is a very long process in a way. So mind your understanding language here. Your devices itself aren't doing it. It's what's being displayed on the screen. You can watch clips of nature. You can watch clips of people loving and embracing each other. You can watch clips of anything you want. Yet the fact remains that so much of what is commonly shared in your films and on your televisions is in its nature violent. And remember that we have said the nature of violence is to separate. So all of these ideas that separate this group of people from that group of people, from anyone, is an act of violence. Now, in order to sensitize yourself from this, you simply have to remove its influence. And that means choosing not to watch things that are violent, choosing not to play games that are violent, choosing not to engage in ideas that are violent. And that means engaging in ideas that separate different groups of people. So when you take the space away from immersing yourself in those sorts of things, the sensitization happens in time, just in the way that if you're addicted to sugar or to caffeine or to alcohol or to nicotine or whatever it is, the more time that you spend away from it, the more you have to process the craving and the draw into it. And then when you come back to it, the more sensitive you are to it, and the less likely you are to enjoy it in the same way as that sensitivity has grown. And we say this because violence is, in a sense, very addictive. When you see this experience, you are getting a rush of adrenaline through the connection with the other that you are experiencing. So this empathic rush of adrenaline is addictive. It creates a sense of pulling in that if you get accustomed to, you'll want more and more of. Adrenaline is addictive because it is suppressing of these deeper emotions of fear and insecurity. And your society, as it's set up with so many people needing to struggle to survive, you experience so much fear and insecurity. And then you are given tools of violence and displays of violence to cover up your fear and insecurity because it gives you these rushes of adrenaline. So the best thing that you can do is to learn how to be comfortable with your fear and insecurity. And yes, bringing love into it means destroying your fear and insecurity by embracing energies of courage, by embracing the attitude of can do, can connect, can love, can open myself to the world and to others in the ways of expressing my creative energy. Creative energy and connection is the remedy to fear and insecurity, and therefore is the remedy to violence.
That was amazingly powerful. Definitely going to be revisiting this, and you have my utter thanks.
Oh, and you as well have our utter thanks and gratitude. All right. We think that is a beautiful place to stop. We think that is a beautiful way of integrating all of the information that we have shared, and a beautiful way of bringing into this new year that is one of taking initiative and opening yourselves to connecting with each other, to seeing beyond the barriers that you create only through your mind and living through the heart. So our great thanks and gratitude to each and every one of you. And we remind you that when we say we are here with you, and we are here with all of you, forever and always. Our great thanks to you, and wish you a fabulous rest of your day, night, or evening. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dante.
Thank you, Dante.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your beautiful questions and bringing together this amazing group today. It was really cool.
Really
So
nice
good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to hear everyone too. Do we have an alarm going off, eh?
Yeah, why is that happening? It stopped. I think someone pushed the fire alarm. It wasn't even like, I was thinking somebody's
Nothing's
like
burning.
sleeping through their alarm, but I think somebody bumped into it accidentally. Anyway.
Are you comfortable where you are? In your space?
Yeah, it's fine. It's quiet enough for me for this moment.
Good.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful transmission, eh, everybody?
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
I appreciated it a lot. I really did.
Kicks off 2023, huh?
Yeah, it's like, because gosh, there's so much crap going on. It's really easy to kind of like, well, like I said, like shrug your shoulders or just kind of give up hope a little bit about your own power in the situation. And it's just nice to have that reminder that we all have power in this beautiful situation or situations of this planet.
Yeah, we
right?
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just quick reminders. We can keep chatting in a second. With quick reminders, you can donate. I sent the link in the Zoom chat and the YouTube chat at the top. So thanks so much for your support, and sessions now by donation, astrology and channeling readings for this time. So please reach out to me. And if you're interested in the channeling course, it's available. Private session tomorrow, same time. If you'd like to join in a more closed container to ask some of your more personal questions, that's available. You can register sending me an email and the donation of 22, and we will journey again tomorrow.
I'll sign up for tomorrow, Dante. This is Heather.
Oh, great.
Hi,
Thanks so
Heather.
much.
I'm considering too. Yes, I'm off tomorrow. I'm
Cool.
considering that too, dear Heather.
Oh, good.
Well, And you know
Yay.
me, Dante, I always join those.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
I'll
I look
definitely
forward to
do
see you guys tomorrow.
Yay.
Okay,
Thanks,
we're on.
everyone. Thank you, Dante.
Super.
Let's see you tomorrow.
Look
I'm
forward to it.
PayPaling you now, right now. And
Okay,
I'll
great.
actually email you when I finish that. Yeah, I'll just
Okay,
email you.
cool. Yeah, and I'll send you all the links then.
Okay, cool. Bye,
But if I give
everyone.
you